Hi, everyone. Welcome to the August Community Hour. We're going to give it a couple minutes, let a few folks join, and then we will get started. Feel free to put in the chat where you're at, where you're located. If you're attending Explore, what you're excited about. We'd love to have some comments in the chat to kick us off. I know some of the folks on the call now are really excited for Vegas. We're flying in. I think a few of us are on Sunday, a few of us are on Saturday. So it's going to be a really great week. We're excited for Explore this year. It's always a great time to unite Dell and VMware. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's been a while since I was last in Vegas, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this gets shaped up and the logistics. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is one of those trips where it's a good thing you kind of never leave the hotel.
Yes.
Because Vegas in August,
A
little rough,
toasty.
little toasty.
That, and I always remember to bring an extra pair of shoes because it just seems like you do a lot of walking in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And so like if you're going to be there for a couple days, switch it up a little bit.
No question.
All righty.
Well, great. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone for joining. My name is Jenny, and I'm the Senior Coordinator over at Elevate Technology User Group. If you're not familiar or you're new to Elevate, we're a community focused on connecting users and prospects of Dell's, CI, and HCI's technologies and solutions. We do this in a variety of different ways, one of them being virtual like today, as well as in-person events. We do this to bring folks together to network, share best practices and ideas. For today's event, I'd like to remind everyone to use the Q&A function and the chat box to ask any questions that you may have for the speakers. And then before the end of today's community hour wraps up, we will be sending a link out for a survey that we would love for you to complete. This gives us feedback as to directive of what to host for future events and topics of discussion. So with that being said, I will pass it over to you, David.
Thank you, Jenny, and thanks everybody for joining for another community hour with the Elevate Technology User Group. We are getting ready to get out to VMware Explore next week, where the Elevate Technology User Group is going to have an incredible meeting Monday evening. We'll talk about that more. For right now, I want to thank our guests for joining us. Nancy Hurley, Director of Product Marketing for Multi-Cloud Infrastructure at Dell Technologies, and Adrian Woodward, the VMUG President. Chris Stanley, Chris Stanley, the president of the Elevate Technology User Group, was called away by his CEO. Sometimes that happens in IT. We are likely to be joined, and we are being joined by another Elevate board member, Mike Vlanek from Topgolf. He will be here to also weigh in about VME Explore or VMware Explore next week in Las Vegas. Before we get started, thanks to our sponsors, Dell Technologies, VMware, and Intel, for making this possible. And now we can jump right into it. Looks like Mike Vlanek's here. Mike, you there?
I am here. Apologies for a little delay there, but I am here in spirit and body.
Not a problem. All right. Well, it's great to have you, and thanks for jumping in last minute like this.
Absolutely.
Adrian and Nancy, thanks so much for being the special guests. Nancy, you're back, and Adrian, you're back. We did this about a year ago. Last time we all saw each other in person was in VMware Explore Barcelona last year. A lot has happened since. It's going to be great to be back there, but let's kick it off with, what are you excited about next week, and what are you hearing people talking about? Adrian, as president of VMUG, I'm sure you're hearing a ton of stuff. What can you share?
There's some product updates and things that folks are excited about. I think there's a reinvigoration of Edge and some conversations about how that's shaping up. I know personally for me and my experience in my work role, we're looking at taking a look at our data center locations, and we're looking at how do we look at cloud in a cloud smart way. And so taking a second look at what are the locations that maybe we don't want to run in, and we for merger acquisitions and those kinds of things. So we're taking a second look at where capacity is located, and taking advantage of HCX and the ability to sort of use that portability around our hybrid cloud and to reposition things into better running locations, get some cost efficiency out of there, do some tech debt reduction moves and things like that. And for me, what I've just been so surprised by is how relatively smooth the ability to slide workloads around leveraging HCX has been for us. And so we've been able to exit a couple of data center locations that I thought historically those were actions that took many months, if not years. And those are going much more smoothly. And so there's been a lot of focus in on application rationalization and how do you do your wave planning about what you move when, what workloads go together. And I think in Explore, the ARIA tool set is changing. And so there's some new features and capabilities around exploring which things go together, how to move them together, and how to map their performance along the way. So bunch of things there. Of course, I think Edge is a big topic, and we won't get far without talking about generative AI and some of the new technologies that are out there. And so again, thinking about whether it's containers, whether it's AI ML, looking at that sort of diverse compute needs that are cropping up in our data centers and edge locations, things that maybe didn't used to be a requirement in the past are starting to come into the mix. So I'm getting where I used to only see sort of containers mainly on my public cloud, I'm seeing containers popping up, in my edge locations. And so from my perspective, there's a lot of things that Explore this year to dig into. And I would really encourage folks, as you're looking at your schedule and you're looking at what things are out there, if you haven't gotten very far along in your container strategy, or your container strategy is largely only in the cloud, don't get caught flat-footed. Take a look at what your on-prem strategies look like. And then in a minute here, we can kind of get into a couple of the sessions that I would point to.
Awesome. Yeah, it's exciting. Mike, it's good to see you. And that's a snazzy shirt you got there.
Got the bling on. That's right. That's right.
Well done.
Well, and I love the don't get caught flat-footed, because everybody has always talked about that, the strategy of right workload, right place. But there tends to be inertia or gravity that drives you to certain places, and I love that you call that out. And certainly there's a lot to be said for what Dell and VMware are doing to make portability a lot easier than it used to be, and enabling that right workload, right place, correct, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That, and I think the ability to software define things. Sometimes I feel like these technologies have an early hype cycle, and folks maybe don't embrace them when they first come out and all the marketing hype is there. But then give it 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden the things that were being marketed a few years ago are the things that people are actually really focusing on today. And so I know we're seeing a big push to automate on-prem and in our hybrid cloud as much as we're automating in public. And that's a new and different push with a lot of different app owners. And again, these capabilities that maybe we've owned for a couple of years, now we're really seeing the power of that. Like if I want to scale these things and I want to leverage some of those vSAN features and other things, that ability to have that sort of hyper-converged infrastructure available as a base footprint in a lot of locations really gives you the opportunity as an app developer, or, as a business unit owner, to sort of package something up once well, and then deploy it to many locations in a very consistent way.
Yep.
So
well, and You said the automation word. I mean, that is near and dear to my heart, but certainly a lot of organizations out there have found the benefits and the ability to scale in a very consistent way with automation, and not having to reinvent the wheel as you go to these different places, whether it be on-prem or in the cloud, and utilizing the tools that Dell and VMware has provided to do that has been game changer. Because it used to be I've got automation for putting it in the cloud, I've got automation for putting it on-prem, and there was no overlap there. And now you're able to reuse and have a consistency in deployment. So you're not having to rewrite and spin the cycles there.
Now, both you guys, this is interesting. You both use rail at the edge and in your data centers. So I think to help set the table a little bit before we move on, Adrian and Mike, could you just let folks know what your environment kind of looks like at a high level?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, yeah. So we are VxRail at the edge. So if you think about a Topgolf, we've got VxRails in the building at the edge to enable a myriad of workloads there, as well as implementing VxRails in our co-location data centers to be able to to enjoy all the benefits of a hyper-converged environment there. And then, obviously we've got big cloud implementations as well, that help tie it all together.
Yeah, and we've in my organization, we're multi-cloud, and in addition to sort of our public cloud spaces, our corporate regional data centers for US, Europe, and Asia Pacific have those rails as a backbone. And so that's what the majority of our hybrid cloud runs on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, Nancy.
Just if I could, as that marketing person, as the marketing person that was talking about automation so many years ago and continues to, I just want to say it's super exciting to hear you folks talk about the automation and the seamless extension between cloud and on-prem. That's absolutely what we aspire for too. When you think about our idea is multi-cloud by design, not by default, right? And working together with VMware, our whole intent is to help people realize that kind of multi-cloud environment that should be transparent in a way as to whether or not you're on-prem or you are in the cloud, right? So all of that automation that is built into VxRail is about trying to make it so that you don't really have to worry about managing your infrastructure, and you can focus in on managing your containers in those applications in those containers. And that's exactly what we're really trying to achieve. So it's great to hear, you both talking about realizing that and hopefully continuing to expand and grow as we continue to deliver more APIs so that you can get into a much broader automation schema and go from there. So, it's just great to see what we have always talked about and espoused about the product, really, really being put into action and adoption.
Yeah. And, Nancy, we can dig into what Dell's doing specifically related to VxRail and VME, and then we can come back, because I know we were talking a little earlier about all these other things that are happening that are making things easier. So, let's continue that conversation, but so that we can stay somewhat on topic. A lot of stuff's happened with VxRail since Barcelona, VME Barcelona. We have a great chance to showcase that, and Dell's doing a bunch of great stuff next week. Jenny, I think we have a slide to help with the conversation, but Nancy, can you tell us what's Dell doing and what do members need to know?
Sure. So obviously we'll have a pretty big booth presence at VME, and always highlighting the strength of the partnership with VMware. So that's key. And there's a lot of other technologies besides VxRail and vSAN Ready Notes that will be in the booth, including our data protection, a lot around AI. I mean, obviously AI ML, super important, hot topic that has gone maybe from marketing hype to reality in like exponential timeline. So you'll have all that. But when it comes to, for this audience who may be focused a little bit more on VxRail, one thing you're going to see is a slightly different format. I don't want to say different format, but VMware very purposely cut back on the number of sessions that there's going to be at VME. And I think, I don't know all the reasons, but when you have as many sessions, it's like almost impossible for people to really go to and see everything they need to see and get all of that. So they wanted to streamline it a bit and have much more focused, concentrated sessions, and sessions where their vendor partners are together, doing the sessions together with them. So you're going to see probably less, in your catalog than you have before. And so, we have some, but not as many as before. And what instead they wanted to do was really increase the number of brown bag sessions and theater sessions. And the reason for that is the brown bag sessions are, much more interactive than, if someone's just on stage kind of speaking to you. And it's also more panel oriented, right? So there's a lot more discussion that happens. And then the theater presentations, it enables you to go like, oh, that's a really interesting topic. I want to go into this booth and start talking about that, right? As opposed to I've got to walk, a half a mile back over to the show floor. So it's very purposely about being more interactive. So with that said, we have a number of brown bag sessions. Hopefully, for folks that are going and are there on Monday, the brown bag sessions are on Monday. That's, kind of like when they do a lot of workshops and the like, and you'll really, key things that we're focused on, environmental and sustainability type topics, right? Edge, you guys both, talked about the edge. I know Mike, the edge is so important, but as we, securely scale your edge operations, right? That's really key, is one of the topics. And then, more about, again, two edge things about our native edge product and how you can scale edge operations with that, with Rail, and how to build out your intelligent grid. And then, again, more and more edge. And I know one of the things too, when you think about the edge, we'll also be highlighting our VD4000 VxRail. So for those that aren't familiar with it, it truly is a VxRail that could fit in a shoebox, or in your backpack. Not that we want anybody to take
Don't try to
the
do
VxRail
that
away in their backpack, but it does fit in one.
I mean, they're probably going to give us a backpack, right, Nancy?
Yeah, I know. Now we're going to have to block down the VD4000. Forget I said anything. But that is such a great edge solution because not only the form factor, it also has an onboard witness. So, low latency, any of that kind of stuff. And can run at much higher temperatures. So really, is a great sustainability thing. So we'll be talking about that not only in those brown bag sessions, definitely in the breakout, and as well, there's breakouts and booth theaters that are very specifically dedicated to talk about that particular solution. And then again, we're just really focused in on our partnership. So, I think it's always great to hear from both folks together. So Varun Chabra and Dave from Dell and Dave McGraw from VMware are going to be up on Tuesday afternoon talking about all the initiatives that we have, but really digging in on what we're doing together with VxRail. And then you'll see, a lot more updates on what's new. So we're not doing any big announcements about Rail at VME because we've done those announcements throughout the year. So you'll be able to hear more about that VD4000. You'll be able to hear more about the next generation that we tend to refer to as 16G, but our latest generation, VX Rails, you know, greater core density, AI acceleration, you know, on chip, and so much more. And then, you know, again, finally, you'll see us all with the booth presentations. And one of the great things with those is we're always highlighting, you know, customer experiences. You guys don't really want to hear from us all the time. You want to hear from customers. So you'll see our customers in the booth. You'll see our customers in the brown bag sessions, you know, really talking about their experiences with VxRail. So hopefully for those that can come, you're able to attend all these, and we can get you the schedule, you know, send out the schedules for all of this as well. But most, like I said, brown bags Monday, the rest is Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. And, you know, as always, check the catalog, because sometimes these things move last minute for whatever reason. So, you know, search through the catalog, find these. And for the booth theater stuff, what's important to know here is anytime these are going on in the Dell Theater, of course, stop and listen. But more importantly, come talk to people about this. We've got all sorts of killer experts in the booth, you know, from who can talk to all of these things. If you miss one of the theater sessions, but you heard about it here and you want to have that conversation about Kubernetes or optimizing VMware with the Dell platforms, all of that can happen in the booth with like a private conversation, right, Nancy?
Yeah, and kind of a funny story for that. So, you know, basically I have to, you know, do the final review on all the slides for all the sessions and everything before they get sent in. And, you know, Adrian, you were talking about how important containers are and Kubernetes, and obviously, you know, Tanzu is a big focus for us here at this show. But Jason Marks, who is our resident, you know, Kubernetes, VCF on VxRail container person, he had a booth theater presentation, and they're like 10 to 15 minutes, and the amount of content he had, I'm like, Jason, you might have to cut that back, because what you're presenting is an hour, maybe hour and a half long session here with all these slides. So trim it back and just invite people to come into the booth to talk to you about it. But he is just one of the many resources. You know, there's so much knowledge and so much information. And so the booth theater it's really about giving you a super high level, but it's more about, just as you said, please come in and talk to us more, because there's a wealth of knowledge and information we can share.
Yeah. And, you know, Adrian, you know this, VMUG and the VMUG booths, and Mike, you know this, but for the members, the Elevate Technology User Group members, what's great about VME, you know, we do our event right after the show floor closes on Monday evening. So if there's anything you didn't get to talk to the folks on the show floor, we bring all those experts for like a curated experience for networking to the Elevate Technology User Group meeting. And, you know, Nancy, you alluded to it, and we were talking about it in the warm-up. Angie Koska is going to be our customer speaker at the Elevate Technologies User Group meeting. She's the CIO of Steinberg Diagnostic Medical Imaging in Las Vegas. VxRail customer, incredible IT transformation story. But when we were talking to her, and you can hear about this Monday night, the amount of floor space for her VxRails as she keeps upgrading, they went from racks and racks before she went to VxRail down to a few racks. She says now they just keep getting smaller and smaller, but they're doing more and more. Yeah. So it's fantastic for the heating and cooling. But it's really kind of interesting how, you know, all of the power that's coming with all the evolutions of VxRail is enabling her to really shrink her footprint down in all of her locations.
Oh, yeah. You know, that little commercial as well at the booth, we'll have a QR code that we just did an updated IDC business value report, where IDC goes out and interviews all our customers, or a set of customers, about the value that they've gotten, and where they've, you know, seen operational savings and cost savings, and, you know, reduction in downtime. So everyone will be able to get access to it if you just go scan that. Obviously, you can get it online as well. But to that point, there's one person, a quote in there, that when they came into their company, they had something like about 30, rails, or I'm trying to think of the number of clusters that they had, and 3 people managing it. They've tripled that in size, so that's a like really sizable state. Same 3 people managing it, right? And so that speaks to that automation discussion that you guys were having before. It's like when everything's automated and really seamless, that you don't need the excess staff. You're not creating additional silos as you scale. It's just this kind of total economy of scale, and you can keep doing it with the same people. So that's great. And I don't want to forget, if you're going, come to the booth. We have, in all Vegas, we've got a slot machine, a VX Rail slot machine, and you can win prizes. But one of the other things is you can win tickets to do this drone race that we have. Now, candidly, I thought it was a little dangerous when I heard about it, but it's in an enclosed area, right? And you can literally do drone races on the floor. But you gotta come in the booth to win a ticket to do it. Look at Mike, I can see your face. You're like, what?
That sounds awesome. I would love to race drones.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Very cool. Very cool. To finish the plug for the Elevate user group meeting, Ash McCarty from Dell Product Management and Dave McGraw from VMware Office of the CTO will be given the Dell Tech update. So they'll be able to, give you all the details, but also they're going to be around for the whole meeting. So if you're in Vegas, you get a chance to come up to them and talk to them, which is really, and there's going to be so many subject matter experts in the room. Adrian, any questions about the Elevate user group meeting, Elevate Technology user group meeting Monday night?
No questions from my perspective, but I want to remind folks how important it is. Being a part of a user group gives you access to the product teams that are building these products and creating the capabilities. There's no better way to represent, your needs into, VMware and Dell than to be a part of these user groups and share your experiences, share what you like and don't like about the products. And that's how product change gets made, which I just think is awesome. So I definitely recommend folks do that. And then, from a VMUG perspective, definitely, as you're swinging by the Elevate spaces, swing by our VMUG space as well.
You guys will have the booth open before our event, so that's a perfect thing. And you've got a booth, you've got Navigate to Win, and then you've got stuff Tuesday night, right? Yeah,
we've got a community party, and so the CTAB will be there, and vExperts will be there, and VMUG, and it's going to be a great time. So really, the ability to make connections and network is just that's what makes a lot of this, being a part of the community is what really makes this fun for me.
I tell all the folks that will listen is the benefit of conferences. I mean, the sessions are amazing, the booth time is amazing, but what really is the force multiplier is those connections and networking that you make there, and the people that have gone through the same things that you're doing now, that have run into the same problems that you're running into now, and have, I say they've spilled the blood in the mud. They've been there, done that. They're the ones that you want to connect with, that can teach you and can give you the cheat code to get past that. And it can be a long running contact that you can ping long after you've been to the conference. And I think the benefit of these user groups like Elevate, like VMUG, is it's getting all those people in one place at one time. And, even before I was on the board of Elevate, what I spent my time doing was like, oh, we talked about this a minute ago and you're talking about this now. Like, you guys need to talk to each other. And so it's really finding people that are running into the same stuff that you are, and can be that force multiplier to get you to the next level. And we love that. And we love seeing that.
And Mike, as VMUG and Elevate have had a long history, so when you guys go, I'm sure a lot of your team are VMUG members, Mike,
Yep.
and Adrian, I'm sure a lot of your team are VMUG members, and they're welcome to come to the Elevate. The cross-pollination is very helpful.
Oh yeah.
And VMUG does a great job with taking, starting with certainly pushing the education programs that are out there to help advance careers. And then, there's also the fun things like all the stuff that you guys do in your booth. I think, is this part of what that treasure map is, Navigate to Win, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. So as you get around and you get your badge scanned at the various things that are on the treasure hunt there, then that unlocks your ability to win some fun prizes.
Yeah, and the cool thing this year is VMUG's doing a specific stop for the VD4000. It's that cool, guys.
That's right.
It really is. It really is.
Is it in your basement, Mike? Is that where it is?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Is that the one that we can't find? That was that's what I wonder.
I still remember the first time I saw it. It was actually sitting on a table at Dell Tech World there at our Elevate user group, technology user group meeting, and I was like, I saw it from a little farther away, and I was like, what is that? And I walk over there, and yeah, VD4000 in all its glory. So.
Yeah.
Excited for that product. A lot of different use cases, and something we're actively looking at.
Well, there is a cool session that's going to be at Explore this year with William Lamb on home labs for folks who are home lab enthusiasts. And if you can't afford the super awesome gear, there's options for Nooks and other things that you can run on some smaller devices, but that's going to be a good session. And I think Chris McCain's got a pretty awesome session on NSX and security. That it's currently sold out. But if you're not already registered for it, watch it back on the video, because I think there's some key elements there too. So
you're going to make me pull up my
I got
my
those
catalog
plugged in
now. Yeah.
That's great. The other thing is, we're getting back to travel, right? But we had that little hiccup, from 2020 to who knows how long. What are pro tips? We haven't talked pro tips. Any pro tips to share?
Ooh, I have a pro tip. Get into the expo as soon as you can and sign up for the free headshot that they always have. I miss that every single year. And I kick myself every single year when I'm walking through the expo or the hang space and they're handing out those headshots and I go, I missed it again. So they always do it at VMware Explore and they always do it at Dell Tech World. And so don't miss it.
All right.
That's
cool.
A good call. Yeah, I would say get in and get that badge early, because sometimes they run out of backpacks and different things, and so get in there and get your stuff in early. Get your extra pair of shoes on. If don't bother wearing business loafers. Pack your running shoes. It's Vegas. There's a lot of walking involved.
Yep.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I have no sponsorship with Cole Haan, but they make the most comfortable, still nice looking shoes and I call them my conference shoes because they've got an amazingly thick, cushy sole, but they look Oxford style on top. So you'll see me sporting those for sure.
Cool.
Nice. Well, I know that Michael Dell sports the waterproof on clouds. So
yeah.
Yep. On cloud is my go-to as well.
Yep. It's certainly taken over. It's amazing. Mike, we've got a question in the Q&A. Where do they find the headshots?
Oh, man, it's varied over the years. I've seen it in the front. It was in the back for Dell Tech World. I think you're just going to have to beat the bushes a little bit once you get into the expo and figure out where it is.
All right, very cool.
Actually, I say expo, but it's usually kind of in the hang space, right? It's usually in the spot that's in between. So,
all right, and then another thing that I don't want to overlook, Ash McCarty, who's going to be at the Elevate meeting, Monday night, is going to be on the cube with another Elevate board member, Adam Little. So they're going to be talking about the latest and greatest. And Nancy, Adam just spun up a site in Virginia.
Yep.
And I think it was because of their experience with VxRail. And I think he was looking at the VD4000 in the early days on this, but the potential for the site was so big, he wanted to go with a bigger install of VxRail to start. But he's got the latest and greatest VxRail, and it's doing wonders for them. So I think he's going to talk to that. What exactly is the hit there?
Well, the big thing is that he's got the rail that supports the ESA, I just call it ESA, but Enterprise Storage Architecture, or the new VSAM, right?
Yep.
And we've just seen incredible performance increases with that. And so I think the thing that he'll be focusing on is not only, to your point, it's going to be a really big potential site, but that by just purchasing the rail with ESA, which does require specific hardware and the like, you have to be all NVMe and whatever. So yeah, it's a little higher price, but the performance that they get out of that, you're going to not necessarily have as many nodes in a cluster in order to, really have the kind of power that he needs at that new site. So they're pretty excited about that.
It sounds really cool, and the potential. I mean, I can't tell Adam's story the way Adam can tell it, but these guys,
no one can,
found something really quick, and then had to grab. I mean, this was a really compressed timeline to get this thing up and running and brewing beer. So if you're there, swing by the cube and listen to Adam's story, and listen to the conversation with Ash there too. All right.
And it looks like Brian in the chat said Oracle and Rubrik are both offering headshots. So good tip there.
Okay. Pro tip. Nice. And then be sure to swing by the Elevate meeting Monday night, and then the VMUG community party Tuesday evening. Right, Adrian?
Yep.
Fantastic. And then and you're, check out the show floor, but engage with folks at both the VMUG booth and the Dell booth. Some great opportunities to really pick some subject matter expert brains.
Yeah.
And Brent and chat, let's connect on that CTEX and CTAB as well. So I'll be there.
Yeah. And expect to, by the way, obviously we got a pre-brief of, the main stage VMware announcements, right? And again, I think just they're focused in on kind of moving everything, it's all cloud, it's all, the whole cloud thing, but how they're bringing all the technologies together under that one umbrella. And there'll be a lot about the new subscription models and cloud packs and all of that type of thing as well. So, I think a lot of interesting stuff, and, and then come to the booth and talk to us about how we're supporting all that.
Fantastic.
And have your face melted off by Jason in his awesome presentation, because
Look, 100%. You want to learn about Kubernetes, you want to learn about Tanzu, you want to learn about containers, talk to Jason. Give yourself a good deal of time, because he is so enthusiastic about it that he will talk your ear off, but you'll learn a lot. He's great, and hopefully we'll have the whiteboard tables in the booth again, because those are great for just looking the whole thing. But I mean, that's another thing too with Tanzu. VMware is not really looking to market that as something separate. VMware's like, look, Tanzu is just an essential part of the stack, right? Because containers and container orchestration is critical for your future. You started off, Adrian, it's like, don't sleep on this. If you're not doing it now, you're going to be doing it soon. You better be doing it soon, right? And just the simplicity that containers brings, both from from a development perspective, from a mobility perspective, and it's critical. And so VMware sees it, like I said, just as part of the stack. And when, also I have to say, when we're talking a lot about VxRail, but, we are supporting Tanzu with more than just rail. And so you want to learn more about container storage modules and, how we, help give, persistence to the data in the containers and all of that type of thing. So you can come in and talk to us about all of that as well. I mean,
For
I'm
sure.
learning
I mean,
so much about it right now.
that's the
and
play,
it's
right?
complex.
If you're going to have a limited capacity footprint in a given location, right? So if you've got a giant location with tons of diverse compute everywhere, then it's maybe not as big of a deal. But if you're sort of making decisions about what goes where, and you've got the diverse workloads where you got container workloads and traditional workloads going together, that's where that Tanzu play is. And that's where that ability to sort of, handle your storage and your load balancing and other elements all baked into one sort of platform without having to, run 10 different pieces of software to get there. I think there's definitely a play there from a quality perspective, just getting consistent deployments across sites. But we'll see, the community, the container community has to be really embracing of these technologies to make them take off. And what I would just warn people for is watch the software companies that want to sell you a containerized solution, open the containers and see how mature they are, because there's some folks who are shipping container software that's subpar. So just be aware of that one.
Yep.
Nice pro tip. Very good. Well, let's double check chat and Q&A.
I don't think I mentioned, by the way. So, Mike was talking about how cool looking the VD4000 was. I put a HMX, virtual kind of demo of it in the chat for people to take a look at. So
awesome. Thank you.
3D viewer, and you can get an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think to Mike's comment earlier, there's going to be people trying to see if a VD4000 will fit in the VMware Explore.
I'm like 100% going to make sure we have a lock-on. That's all there is to it. And also, and just to let people know, there's no software on that VD4000. That is just a piece of hardware with a bezel on it to give you an idea. The actual, our secret sauce, obviously vSAN, vSphere, but our secret sauce being the VxRail HCI system software that delivers all that automation and orchestration. It's not it's not loaded on the one on the floor. So, so don't steal it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just it's a bare metal power edge.
It's a paperweight.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Nancy, thank you so much for coming back on. Adrian, thanks for coming back again. Looking forward to seeing both of you out in Vegas. Mike, thank you for stepping in last minute. Fantastic job as board member. I will see you in Vegas as well. And I think we are about to wrap it up. Folks, thanks for attending. And thanks again to Dell Technologies, VMware, and Intel for sponsoring and making this possible. Safe travels. See you at VME. And if not, watch this stuff online and reach out to folks who went and share the knowledge. And we'll see you again soon. Jenny, I think we're all set.
I think we are. Thanks everyone again for attending today's community hour. As you notice, there are several links in the chat. A lot of those are for VMUG related activities at Explore. Take a look at that. Make sure that you're stopping by their booth, participating in the Navigate to Win, and also make sure that you've registered for our event at Yardbird in the Venetian. It's right on Restaurant Row. We have a few spots left. We're really excited about our event. As David mentioned, we have an amazing panel. We'll have food and drinks at the end to kind of converse and have conversations around Dell and VMware. And then as I mentioned earlier, we will have, I put a link in the chat for the survey to complete. It only takes a few minutes, and this, like I mentioned earlier, it does help us in future event participation and in creating for you to enjoy. And with that being said, if you enjoyed today's program, please share this event and future events with your colleagues and friends. And we look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you all, and we will see you at Explore.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All
Come
right,
find me
safe
at Explore.
travels.